Alright, hello YouTube. I am back with another Legion game review. This time for Mr. Level 1 Slime, aka Mose, who's in a duo with Mr. For Fun Player, who I don't personally love playing with, but anyway. And we're playing against two very high rated players, Aviator, who wants to save Mythium, and Mr. Fake One, who potentially does not want to save Mythium. Um, and in theory, if we have such a skewed matchup, it's good to take a lot of coin flips and try to sort of catch the opponent off guard with like a very high push, very YOLO undercut, long save early game, whatever. But I'm gonna pretend this is not the case because I want to help everyone improve. And I think if you try to gain elo in these games and just coin flip your way to victory, you will gain elo, but you will not really improve at the game. Sometimes coin flippy strats can be really good, and I'm not saying it's always bad and yada yada, but typically for a better understanding of the game, it's usually best to just play a quote unquote normal game. Alright, so we mega mind into Kingsguard. Our teammate is picking Fiesta as every game, and our initial role is this. And we start with a Zeus, something I would not do ever probably, unless I really have no other choice, just because it gives us relatively little push, and we will still end up having, with this roll, a significant weak wave on wave 7, really no matter what we do. So it gives us low push, it's not the best cover unit, and it also gives the enemy a clear target, something I really don't want to do. And with a Fiesta teammate who's leaking on wave 1, I would always also prefer a higher worker opening, and in this case I would probably pick a role something like this, with like a Treant to open with, 5 workers, Bazooka for 2, Consort for 3. Sure, we can in theory leak on 3, small-ish, but whatever, we have great push, then we can push for 4, and really take advantage of the long waves that our teammate is producing, and put some pressure on the opponent, and also scale ourselves. And moreover, I would also probably pick the Shadow Dancer for the scaling with Pulverizer in the mid game, so we at least have some choice there. Sure, this roll leaves us slightly weak on 13. With Robo Squad, this is a little bit dangerous, but I don't really see a great way to fit in the Phoenix with these units. Sure, one can also go with like a Harpy start with Treant and then somehow remove the Shadow Dancer and pick the Fire Lord, but with Harpies it's very hard to make the Phoenix off tank. So it's a little bit, it's, yeah. Anyway, you will end up having to play around some weak waves, as this is not a perfect role by any stretch of the imagination. I would have preferred to pick this role over what we did in game, which is this role, which kinda goes with Zeus and Harpy. I don't think they combo super well. We are quite light on tanks with Trent and Badger being the only tanks, and we still end up with a positioning issue with the Phoenix, and we can't build at the top of the lane to utilize Harpy's mana maximally. Okay, so this is our role, this is what we did, okay, whatever. We skip on one, which is fine. We send a single snail on 2, I like this. Foily is not worth it into Pipsqueak opener. Teammate is getting a decent Fiesta on 1 and 2. 1 good, 2 eh. We built the Treant for 3, push to 7 workers. We go full here. I'm not sure if I love this choice, um, but it's not horrible. And now looking at their boards, I would honestly, at this point, I know this will not work with our blue teammate, I would call for a wave 7 send. I would go 3 into 7 here because they've both shown that there will be very little they can do to realistically defend wave 7. LOD is weak on 7, Pipsqueak is weak on 7. He has an angler with 8 stacks. This is not gonna get to like any amount of mana. If he gets Kingpin out and holds against 3 brutes somehow, okay, it's gonna be a 40 stack Kingpin. His game is gonna suck anyway, it doesn't matter. I think at this point we should really realize that we have a good angle. Um, We are good on 5 and 6. Teammate is good on 4. We will be fine on 4 with the Buzz. We are not under threat. Teammate can be good on 7 with the Iron Maiden. So we have the perfect setup to go 7, and I think we should really utilize this. And this is independent of enemy being higher elo. I think this is just a good play, and this is what you should go for. So teammate pushes to 9 workers, which is an overpush for a wave 7 send. He incomes again. Income king, income king, income king. Thank you for selling me out. Lovely. I really dislike this. I've talked about this in many, many videos. It's not good in my opinion. Just makes the game of teammates super hard if you do this. We skipped 4. We income king on 5. I'm not sure if this is a good choice. I don't know. We've kind of abandoned the idea of going 7. And with this, we probably still threaten a decently sized resend on 7. So I guess it's fine. Yeah. Fake 1 is Mr. Leak 1 because it was really hard. I mean, let's be real to Mr. Fake 1 at this point. Yeah, it's really hard for him because it's hard to predict this very, very difficult send pattern. Because he gets a king up on 1, a snail on 2, income king on 3, income king on 4. And now it's nearly impossible, yeah, to predict what's going to happen next. It's so hard. And we got to cut him some slack. There's literally nothing he could have done because he gets income kinged again. And really, who could have expected that? Yeah. For a fun player is not known to income king on every wave in the early game, and he definitely did not show us this pattern here. So it's absolutely reasonable to leak 69% to a fiend. And in case you cannot tell that this was sarcasm, it was. Okay. Anyway, we skip wave 6, which is good since they both are kind of weak on 7, and we're overbuilding a little bit here, because we're pretty weak on 7. I do not know that I love going full into Aviator here because realistically, he's gonna be on 780 value here. If we go full here, it always has to be a double brute. Skip the 10 gold you get for the pre-income robo and make sure you send 2 brutes. This might actually leak him, but single brute is never worth it. If you have so little Mythium, either skip and try to force the Kingpin on 8 or income. I don't think this is a good choice, especially since we are under no threat, given that we got the send on wave 6. Alright, so we are slightly behind, but it's not like massively behind. Just looking at like net worths and incomes, it's relatively even. We do have the Kingpin / Angler build on Aviator, so he's gonna be in a decent spot once he upgrades them. Yeah. Fake 1 also has Champion, which is not in the power score, but and the net worth, but we have Kingsguard, which is also not in there, so it's fine. I think at this point, if we had gone 3 into 7, we would be significantly ahead. Like this, it's roughly even. Okay, so we push a few workers, we income king, which is fine. Could have threatened a wave 9 send, especially against Mr. Fake 1. Or we could have expected that he hunts here and takes a risk and gone full, but it's very hard to leak him here. So it's probably better to threaten a wave 9 send. Right. And I think the king ups, again, right? It's fine to income here, but I don't know that income kinging is like really correct because again, he's weak on 9, so you kind of want to threaten him a bit on that wave, and you've also fed him the entire game, so maybe at some point consider stopping the feeding because this makes the game for us on red super fucking hard. Okay, so wave 9 comes, we income king into Aviator, which is fine. We could have considered a double brute resend, which might leak him, given that teammate is going full. Might be an option. I'm just throwing it out there because long wave 8, we have decent push, might be a chance. And now, teammate got a send, but the issue is we didn't get a send. This guy is super fucking pushed, and now our game is incredibly hard because what are we going to do for 10? Well, it doesn't matter, we're just gonna leak our balls off. Because we get a 360 send after a one wave skip. And now the game is very hard because Aviator gets his Kingpin, he has a lot of value, he's in a good spot. We are under severe pressure by Fake One, he gets a lot of gold by this leak. So now this guy's ahead because of the leak gold, because of Bird. This guy's ahead because he has Kingpin. And we essentially can't play the game because if we push, we just die. If we don't push, we can't leak our guy. And teammate is not a million miles ahead to carry us. And this is why I think it's very, very difficult to play this game for us, and why I personally do not want to play with blue. Sorry, it's not fun. I don't enjoy it. I want to play the game, and I want to be able to take risks, and I want to have waves that I can target without the guy I'm sending to getting 7 million gold by Bird, and without me being sent 360 after one wave skip on wave 10. Okay, so now mid-game is happening. We choose Pulverizer because we don't think we should be taking Robo Army. I think it's fine. Looking at their builds, we probably want to target 14 at this point. We are kind of threatened on wave 13 though, so we have to be a little bit careful and see what they do. And we take Pulverizer, and apparently we show it. Now, they both send double Robo and Robo. And here's the thing, we skipped. Probably because we want 14. Maybe because we consider 13 as well. I mean, 13 isn't horrendous against them either. But here's... Oh, I don't think... Right, I should try to see if I can see this in the match history of Mr. Aviator. No, it's not in Mr. Aviator's match history. Because it's not in our match history. So I'm trying to find it in game because the recommended value is a very important point of information. Yes. Okay. Right. Let me show it in game. Right. So this is wave 11. And now on wave 12, you can see that the recommended values are way too low for the enemy to be Robo Squad. So once wave 11 ends, you can with 100% certainty say the enemy is not Robo Squad. And that is where you need to decide whether you want to target their weaker wave 14, and force them to match you there, where you are decent with this gun and your build, or whether you want to undercut them on 13. And this is once again a point in the game where you have to 100% commit to what you're going to do. You have to realize they are not Robo Squad. If you do not check your recommended value at this point and you are not able to deduce from this whether they are Robo Squad or not, then you will have a very, very rough time. But like he's 250 under on wave 11, right? On for fun player. And Aviator has a lot of workers and is in a decent spot. If this was Robo Army, there's no way he's going from 250 under to 160 under. And the same with us, we're 200 under and now we're 40 under. This is 100% confirmed they cannot be Robo Squad. So they are not trying to 13 us. If they want to 13 us, they will 100% of the time pick Robo Squad. They want to go longer, or if we giga push, they want to match us. But yeah, we have at this point, We see our recommended value. They are not Robo Squad. Do we go 14 or do we not add for wave 12 and just Giga push? Because we still get Phoenix for 13, he will not be able to afford a double 4-Rise, given that he sent us on 11. So our Phoenix can Giga Smurf, and we can do incredibly well if we have 2k value for wave 13. This is the angle we could take, and the other angle is to go longer and go 14. But instead, I think the game-losing mistake is we did not push, and we end up sending. And I think the send is also not ideal. I think Centaur is probably better. I think I tested this. And like, I don't know why Fake One is hunting here. I don't know. I think if he doesn't hunt, like this hunt is giving you guys a chance somehow. I don't understand how you end up hunting here. I think it's just bad. Sorry, Fake One. I don't understand. Yeah, I think yeah. Anyway, I don't know. And I also don't understand why we're not sending double Ghost Knight into him. Like, clearly the Doomsday is gonna be the issue. Okay, let's quickly sandbox the send that we did. I think was like what did better was like Centaur triple brute, but it's pretty close. You kinda I mean, Centaur is good because now it's really dealing a lot of damage. You want to make sure that this unit and this unit cannot really like scale. So you want to send DPS, which we did with Pack Leader Brutes, but Brutes get sniped very, very easily. So it's not ideal to spam so many Brutes, I think. And this does better. The other run I did was a 90% leak with this, so I think these sends are better. I also tested Needler, but it's not as good. And Pack Leader is apparently not so worth it as 3 Brutes, which, I don't know, kind of makes sense. Because the Brutes are really good against, like, all of his, like, tank units and stuff. So yeah, slightly better send, would have done more king damage, would have potentially helped you get in a better spot in the game. But once you commit to the send and they skip and don't take a million king damage, your game essentially becomes quite hard. Sure, like gold-wise, net worth-wise, you're ahead at the end of this wave and you will have a lot of value. But the issue is that now with their workers and income, they can essentially save till whenever. And this is the Aviator special, which is save. Aviator wants to save Mythium and save for like 13 waves in a row. And especially your build on red is something that will do incredibly well against small-ish sends. Yeah, with the Phoenix, with the Warp Wing, with the Harpy scaling, even with the Boom Trees. But once the send is like above a certain threshold, your build essentially becomes useless. And that's the issue. So, yeah. That's why we don't really want to allow them to save super long, which is why I would have probably preferred a skip or like a Giga push. But then he doesn't hunt his rats, but then he also gets like a 620, 640 cent. This guy gets like a 500 something cent. And you probably do okay here against their sends and you can really play the game. And then you have 16, which you can target very well against their builds. And I think it's better. Or again, going 14 would also be a decent option. You're not weak on 14 for fun players, really strong there. And they can never skip 14 if you skip 13. So after this quote-unquote robo-army fake, which I think is a mistake by them, it relies kind of on you misreading the situation. You had a chance to go for a play and you didn't really adjust correctly. Okay, what do we do now? We are on a lot of value here. For fun player builds the Iron Maidens. I guess we are at first expecting 15. When we see Aviator adding an Antler, we should definitely consider the possibility that they go 16, and we could consider an undercut play for 15 by going full here. I don't know if you end up leaking them here, and if you don't, then the game is just instantly over. So it's a very high risk play, and you probably have to decide after this that they want to 16 you and go for a crazy undercut on 15, and I don't think that's really a realistic choice. Obviously, if they play like this and you know that it's specifically Aviator, then you can potentially make that guess, but yeah, I don't think it's really realistic. Um, maybe like, yeah, I don't think I would have even considered that. Okay, so you only king up here, which is probably correct. But then on wave 16, you decide to go full, which I can understand this choice because you're always leaking a lot and you already have a lot of king. But realistically, Aviator is on value here, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different units. So he's either Chaos or he's Redraw. And I'm not so sure if this looks really like a Chaos board. Maybe, slightly. But Chaos is a little bit more, usually it has a little bit more units on the board, like different ones that could have been upgraded or like pivoted into. This looks a little bit more like Redraw, and into a Redraw player with his units ending on 16 is kind of hard. And Fake One looks kind of weak, but I don't know that he's super weak with the Doomsday and the Hades. I also think the send is horrendous, so he probably leaks to a decent send. Let's test this because this makes a big difference. But obviously we have essentially no chance to hold here. Now you might say, well, why didn't we go Pyros? Well, we rerolled on wave 9 and we rerolled into this. And I personally don't think the Shadow Dancer does anything for us because we have Harpies and those two don't combine super well. So I wouldn't have taken this one. I would have gone for this one or even the Buzz for the tier 1. Yeah, maybe like this. Or this one specifically to be better on 16, but with Harpies we're not really worried about 16 at this point. So I guess I would have done this. I don't love combining these units because you're never like you've already committed to your Harpy build. Are you really going to pivot into a Shadow Dancer build which needs even more tanks? I don't think it's really realistic to get a good Shadow Dancer game rolling. I do like the Phoenix, gives us the 13 solution. Yeah. Okay, let's quickly test if Mr. For Fun Player Grief does with the send. Because, okay, we don't have enough Mythium to double Ghost Knight before income. So double Ghost Knight is off the table because we are definitely trying to roll to hold as well as we can. And he has a split, so we don't have to giga counter this Doomsday. But Champion Hades is quite a beast here, so maybe he will just hold. I don't know. No, I think he's leaking. Yeah, he is leaking, but not like massively. 61%. Decent. Decent. And I'm sure there are better sends, like maybe we can even go Needler pack. Don't know. Needler is like really good against everything he has. So maybe this is even better. Let's see how this does. I think pack leader is again quite a quote unquote necessary, like mandatory send, because it's like a summoning build and stuff. He's getting very good aggro. He's leaking on the Needler, so the Centaur would have been better. Anyway, he could have leaked and you could have gotten a shutdown, which would have been better. But again, the issue is that we have allowed them to go fake 11 into 16, which is one of Aviator's specials. And sure, our teammate clears the entire wave. So just for Aviator, this isn't really worth it. But we leak 170% because our build just does not do well against very big sends. And so allowing them to do exactly that is just a huge issue because this leak, sure, it doesn't kill us because we're Kingsguard, but it just gives them so much gold. And especially since we go full, but even if we go income into Aviator and the correct send into for fun player, into fake one, and get a shutdown here, I think we're still behind. We're less behind than in game, but again, this all comes back to the early game. It's almost impossible for us to play this game because we cannot push into Aviator. We are under a lot of pressure from Fake One, so we are behind. And Aviator is ahead because he's sending into a Fiesta player. And this is really where we are starting to suffer because our build is good against small sends, but we're just getting insanely large sends, so it's very, very rough. And now after this, we just have to Giga coin flip the game and decide what we want to go for. We have to do something crazy, and this crazy is either Giga undercut for 18 or 17. No, for 18. But we're not amazing there, and if they see we just Giga pushed, well, it's kind of rough. We decide to go for a long save where we try to bait ascend on wave 18. We full commit for it. We both do not push a single worker and full shift on 17. I think this is a good play. I think this is one of our very, very few avenues back into the game where we full build for 18 now and they send and we hold. But unfortunately, they are good players and understand that we never really have an 18 angle in the first place, and even if we double Sui, I don't think they really leak. Given that they are full prepping 19 and Fake One is hunting, maybe with an actual double suicide for 18, we could have won the game here. I don't know. But yeah, it is what it is. And then seeing the boars that Aviator redrew into, we obviously cannot win the game if we go 19. So we skip and try to survive, but we can't. And then the game is over, and there's really not much we can do. So, yeah, I think what's the main takeaway? I think the main takeaway is that I would prefer our teammate to play a little bit less egoistic and like for his own game and only for his own game. I think at this point, wave 3, looking at their starters, you had a clear chance to target wave 7, and sure, it's cringe and yada yada, but I think it's just the correct play at this spot. You're missing the opportunity here, but you're still in a fine spot. Maybe full send here is an option. You can't really do much here. It is what it is. And then at this point, this fake Robo Army send gives you two good options. And I think you have to commit for one of them. And this is either full push 13 or push a little less and save one longer and go 14. And unfortunately, you decide to go 13. Fake One tries to give you a chance with this absolutely brilliant double hunt, which gives him 20 Mythium, but also the chance to leak 80% instead of full holding. I'll test if he full holds without hunting, by the way, quickly, but I want to go through the game one more time. And then, okay, you decide to 16, which is probably correct. Again, very minor chance to undercut. But after this 13, your game is kind of lost. And you can't really do much about this. Teammate does well here. He should have sent better. And then you commit for the send bait on 18, which is a good play, but enemy does not fall for it, and then you're lost on 19. Maybe if you double suicide, you can win on 18. I don't know. I haven't tested. but I don't necessarily know that they leak because Champion Hades is really good. And now let's do the final testing whether if we do not hunt, we full hold against the send that we got, which was Ogre Pack Imp Double Robo. Ogre Pack Imp Double Robo. Because I do think that we just full hold here. Okay, we have killed our oh no, our Doomsday did tank very, very nicely. No, we do not full hold. But we do much, much better than in-game. And obviously this would have been much better to leak 30% instead of 80%. Yeah, thanks for doing the math PhD. But I'm also surprised that we did not go double Ghost Knight Brute into this. Let me quickly test for sake of flaming certain players and people whether this is better. I know that the Leviathan is not, like, it's pretty good against the Ghost Knight. And the split Ghost Knight is essentially DPS Ghost Knight, so maybe this doesn't do so much better. Well, it's a 90%er. Okay, well, not a big deal. Not a big difference. Okay, so that's my analysis of the game. And I hope you could learn something, and I hope to see you in game or in the next analysis.